So this week I'm going to tackle something kind of weird and strange at the same time, guys. Um, I'm going to tackle game design, tabletop design, whether it be your own settings, your own worlds, all the way up to your own systems. Um, kind of triggered by some stuff that's going on with some guys I know. A lot of you guys I know create your own systems, and that's cool. Actually, I think it's really neat. I also know that a lot of you guys that are creating your own systems have a butt ton of experience when it comes to how to do it, what you're looking at, what works, what doesn't. My biggest pet peeve right now with what I'm going through with these guys that I know, they think they're going to just break out with no experience and be the next Dave Arneson, Gary Gygax. Can't remember the guy that created Tunnels and Trolls, guy that created Traveler. I mean, that's what they think. They think they're going to be on that echelon. They don't play anything. They don't game. They don't read. They don't research. They don't do anything. They basically sit there in a giant circle jerk and presume that they know how to design a game without any practical experience or practical knowledge. That being said, I'm not going to turn this into a bitch fest about them because the reality is that it brings to light some things that I've discovered about game design. Like I said, whether it's designing your own world for a pre-established game to all the way up to your own system, there's things you have to do to make games successful in world building or system building. And the biggest thing I think is playing. That's the most huge part of any gaming experience. It trying to build a world or a game without playing is like trying to repair a car without ever having seen an engine. You can't do it. It just doesn't work. You don't have the practical knowledge. You don't have the systematic knowledge. You don't understand what works and what doesn't because you don't understand it because you don't do it. You can't be a mechanic without working on vehicles. And you can't be a game designer without playing games. You can't create an omelet without breaking some eggs. I mean, basically, is the end run of that. These people that design games, they think that, and I've seen a couple of them because I've seen some terrible games. Lest we should mention Fatal, God knows what was going on in their design process. I mean, besides the heavy drug use and death metal, but I mean, that is a grand example of a game that was more than likely designed with absolutely no experience behind the game designer's mentality. I don't think they ever thought through what they were doing. They don't think they played anything other than AD&D 2E while they were high off their ass after sniffing glue or something, because that's about the only thing that can explain that game. Point being is that you can't create without playing. You can't create without research. If you don't sit down and read, you don't sit down and look at what makes successful games and successful worlds, you'll never know how to do it yourself. Never. There is a formula for successful world building and successful system building. You know, there's a reason that the every space opera game uses a very simple, similar system for spaceship combat because it works. It's worked for the last 35 years since Traveller 1 came out. You want to argue that? Feel free, but I believe that wholeheartedly. There's definitely some variations within from system to system, but the baser mechanic all boils down to same mentality. And too many people get in the habit of trying to dis- disseminate mechanics without knowing what mechanics are out there. Again, research. Do the research. There's hundreds upon hundreds of games to draw information from if you would just pick up and actually do the work. Um, that's all there is to that. The other thing that you have to do if you're going to be a successful world builder, system builder, is you have to play test. You've got to play test, and you have to expect the negatives to come out of the play test. If you play test in an echo chamber where everyone's already patting themselves on the back, you're never going to get anything accomplished. Ever. Your system or your world is going to suck because you don't have anything important to say. People aren't going to give you negatives, then you're not going to get anything useful out of them. They are just going to give you what you want to hear. End of discussion. You go nowhere with that. You go nowhere. You need to hear the things that don't work. You need to hear the things that need to be fixed, or the fluff that seems out of place, or anything, really. I mean, any negative. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but the best part of playtesting is finding the negatives. It really is. It's finding the problems that make the game unbalanced, or finding the problems that make the game unplayable, because you can fix them before you ever send it to publish. Or if you're like me, I've designed a game that I'm not mass producing, and I'm not even going to mass make it available right now because it's not near ready. Uh, but that I intend to play test it, and I want harsh criticism on it because I want to know what works and what doesn't. I know too many, again, seeing too many games that you can tell the play test uh, policy was in house, everyone patting each other on the back, and turn into a circle jerk, and the game suffers because of it. Sinzar, World of Cinnabar, the games were just awful. I mean, if you could avoid those three things, you can create the best games in the world. But you're never going to produce a game if you don't play, research, and outside play test. You'll never create something worthwhile. Never. You've got to have the right mentality when you're creating a game. And the wrong mentality is to think that you're just going to come out of nowhere and be the next major name in gaming. It just doesn't happen. Uh, Monty Cook's a good example. He's worked in gaming for 27 years. He got his breakthrough when he started working on Planescape, really, but reality wise, he became a household name with 3.0. He had been in the market for 10 years almost before he ever became a household name. As always, guys, opinions, advice, things I missed, I may have overemphasized, I don't know. Leave them in the comments and don't be a dick. That's the best way to do this.